well, first of all, my name's Dan Buxton, and I do recognize some people in the crowd that we've had at past boot camps that I've attended. I can tell you a little bit about my background, and my background has pretty much been construction. Business owner, no college. Our family didn't really have any money to go to college, so that really wasn't an option, and I had no desire, so I jumped right into the workforce right off the bat. Built a construction company up to about 100 employees. I trained pretty much all the workers, you know, myself, and John, you probably heard this story too many times. So, but anyhow, we did pretty well with construction. We were pretty much commercial industrial construction. Branched off into a manufacturing company that did pretty well also. Simultaneously started a couple landfills and hauling companies. I'm one of those A-personality type people. Always into something, always want more. The biggest problem I had, even though we did very well with those companies, we had all the risk. We had all the risk with employees, with the credit lines, dealing with banks, people not paying you. When you're doing a $500,000 project, $1 million project, and someone goes bankrupt on you, you have a big problem. So we always had that in the back of our mind when we were doing construction. Employees, some of you guys are employees, some of you are employers, dealing with employees. It's never really a good situation one way or the other, and I think that's why we're here trying to figure out a different way, which we're going to figure it out this weekend. But regardless, my employees had guarantees. I had no guarantees. I had a guarantee that I had to pay them every week. So when I was bought out by Waste Management with my landfill, and I sold the roofing company off and the construction company off to the employees, I had to find something else to do, something I wanted to do that didn't take employees, didn't take having a big office building, a manufacturing facility, and being stuck in northeastern Ohio sometimes. So I went into real estate. I was lucky enough to be reading a Robert Kiyosaki book, and I'm sure if Chuck's book would have been out then, been what I've been reading right now, but Robert Kiyosaki's book, and I was hooked. Donald Trump's Art of the Deal, I was hooked. I had to find more about this industry that I could just deal in properties, real estate, commercial, whatever. Went to a boot camp like you guys are here today, and I was lucky enough to meet this gentleman to my left here, Chuck Smith, and our personalities hit it off right off the bat, and we've been friends ever since. He's been a big help to me in getting me going in this industry. But I did everything wrong, like everybody does wrong getting into this industry. I did all the work myself. I justified it by saying it was therapy. It was therapy for me working on the house. Chuck says, yeah, but your therapy, you're only doing 4 or 5, 6 houses a year. Let's turn that over. Let's speed that up a little bit. And he's been successful in helping me do that and giving me the direction I have today. With the properties, with what I can do now, I'm a full-time real estate investor. I am based out of northeastern Ohio, but this fall I'm actually heading to the southern states and try to break things up there a little bit. So that's a little bit of my background. Last year, in the past years, I'm averaging right about 28 to 32 homes a year. So I do pretty well with that. Commercial properties also, luxury homes now, which with Chuck's advice, and I've got into that a little bit there too. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell, and that's how simple it is. But I have no employees. I work 20, 25 hours a week. I work when I want to work. So this is the great thing about this industry. If you're not a seasoned investor now, it's easy to have what we have and a lot of people in this room have. I'd like to introduce you. Sorry, go ahead.
If your ex-wife is listening, you're barely getting by.
If my ex-wife, she's not in this room right now. I'm just barely getting by. Yeah, absolutely.
You want to tell them a story?
I'll tell you a story. Chuck's running a radio ad, and he says, he didn't tell me about it. Hey, I get this radio ad going out in major radio. He says, you got to listen to it. So I'm listening to the radio ad, the whole works along. Dan Buxton, Canton, Ohio, made $200,000 a year last year. I'm like, oh. And I don't think it was 45 minutes and the phone rings. My ex-wife, who's a hairstylist who has every avenue. It's like having a newspaper, and all of a sudden all of her clients, hey, Dan's doing this, Dan's doing that.
300,000.
Yeah. So she goes, hey, I just heard the radio ad, and I'm like, yeah. She goes, well, it's not what, child support and things like that. So long story short, we worked it all out, but tense couple weeks there. So I mean, I'll tell you people what I do and how I do it, whatever, but if she was in the room right now, hey, I'm driving a rusted out Volkswagen and I'm living in that box over by the airport.
Yeah, he told me, let me know if Scott Peterson gets away with it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Chuck here a little bit. Chuck Smith has been called the Donald Trump of quick-turn properties. He's considered the best quick-turn investor in the country and has quick-turned more than 1,400 houses in 10 years. Chuck, he runs a streamlined business out of his home, which he actually has an extremely nice office now. So the 10 by 10 office is probably just really your satellite office at home now, right?
As far as the IRS is concerned,
IRS,
they have that home office.
And that business generates over $1 million in-hand cash per year. Chuck, he quick turns 12 houses on an average per month at an average profit of about $10,000. Now, I didn't, when I first met him, he told me how many properties he did. And I had to make that big trip to Cleveland, Ohio to see how he did it. And I couldn't believe that cookie cutter thing he's put together and how he's able to do what he does with these houses. It was just amazing to me. In 2001, Chuck released his system so folks like you could reap the unbelievable rewards of real estate investing. Chuck has successfully taught students all over North America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Bermuda, the Philippines, United Kingdom, including London, England. Wow. Wow. That's right. I met Chuck. I met Keith from
London, England. Yeah.
Keith, real nice guy.
There's no work over there.
Chuck has trained those with a 6th grade education all the way up to a prominent medical doctors. Some nice people had some nice things to say about Chuck. Chuck's system is endorsed by the best of the best, including best-selling author Brian Tracy, who says, "To Chuck Smith and his real estate system are impressive will be an understatement." Best-selling author and marketing guru Dan Kennedy, "Chuck Smith inspires me." Quick-turn granddaddy Ron LeGrand says, "Chuck's system's a masterpiece worth its weight in gold." Lou Brown says Chuck's system will lead you step by step to wealth in the shortest time possible. Chuck has just recently authored a book from cop to CEO in his much-demand speaker and teacher. His system is effective as his book. He's going to do a boot camp in Australia and New Zealand in the fall here. This last thing, is it okay if I mention the last thing here on the paper?
Oh, yeah, go
Is
ahead.
it okay? Chuck has just been asked to share the same stage with Donald Trump and Robert Kiyosaki. When is that coming up, Chuck?
October.
In October. I mean, that's a pretty impressive company to be with right there. If I were you, and I'm not anybody right now. Gee, that's a tongue twister in there. If I were you, I would listen carefully and digest every single word this man has to say.
It's him have to teach him how to read.
That's it. Make it big print and double space it. But I have to tell you, I mean, from my personal standpoint, I did well with real estate investing. The problem with me, a rehabber, 5-6 properties a year, rehabbing them, then selling them, and the whole works. Sometimes it didn't match up. The money wasn't coming in, and then Chuck is filled those gaps. And actually, where rehabbing was, let's say 80-90% of my business, now it's probably down 15-20% because he's taught me how to turn these properties and also the luxury homes. So I'd like to introduce to you Chuck Smith.
Welcome to the Millionaire Maker Bootcamp.